Hi everyone. In the last video we took a look at the Umbrella offices, which, layout-wise, hadn't changed much from the original. This video will be quite the opposite, and throughout the duration I'll explain some of the major changes I made and why. The footage you're seeing in the background is one of those changes. The mansion in the original was one room, and it's always bugged me. From the earliest ideas I had for this project, I always knew I wanted to expand this area. Plus we'll take a look at Lot's house, the cable car, forest, and mine sections of the game. I want to thank everyone again for supporting this project. It really means a lot to me to see the positive feedback and general support. I've had a couple of people asking about a release date or download, but unfortunately it's too early to set one. While a lot of what you see looks quote-unquote complete, there are still many things these maps lack to be in working order. An easy example would be boundaries that stop the player from jumping out of the map. Also, many of the puzzles haven't been implemented yet, so they wouldn't exactly be exciting maps to run around on. Enough of that though. Let's take a look at the maps. So here we are on the first new map. This is the Gutters, Lot's house, cable car, forest, and mine map. Can't really believe that I managed to squeeze all 5 of those areas into one map. Now normally what I would do is probably section this out. I would say the Gutters, Lot's house, and the cable car section would be a map. I'd go ahead and make a video for that. And then the forest and mine section would be a map. I'd make a video for that, and then finally the mansion. But I got a little bit behind on the videos, so you're going to see all of this in one. Here we got the kitchen in Lot's house. I sort of expanded that area because the kitchen in the original was essentially a hallway. There's the bedroom. Not much has changed there. I changed it to 1 bed instead of 2. I also wanted to add a small section here. There's a closet that I just left locked, and a bathroom that I went ahead and opened up because their house didn't have a bathroom in it originally. Okay, and here we are in their room, which has changed a bit because of the bathroom. It sort of forced me to adjust some of the locations of things. And we're headed back out. And I turned the car. The car initially was supposed to come out of the same gate you're walking through, which seemed a little crazy to me, so I twisted the car around and had it facing the road. And I had the road continue on this side instead of just being a gate with a cliff on it. And we're headed up towards the cable car. These last sections of the game have also had some of the largest rooms to construct. I don't know if that was intentional or just I'm not thinking about it and combining rooms maybe. It's definitely had the biggest rooms. Here we are. In the original, the cable car actually pulls up when you push the button, but I just have the door open for you. I don't know if I'm totally satisfied with the cable that I used, and I'm not sure if I can get the lighting to work on it properly. I'll have to check some things out. Okay, and there's the cable car. There were a couple of different ideas I tossed around. Actually having the cable car move was one, and I think I settled on this idea because it felt the most Resident Evil. In most Resident Evils, you're not actually doing anything while the cable car is moving. It's just a cutscene. Here we are on the other side here. And this is when we get into the next set of options. So, at this point in the original, you were offered 3 branching choices: a cliffside path, a mine, and a forest. I believe I can say without too much judgment that these were the weakest parts of the game. All 3 options were extremely linear and bland to look at. Needless to say, other than the locations, I changed this section drastically, even going as far as removing the cliffside option. I approached this area similar to Resident Evil 2's marshalling yard. In Resident Evil 2, you're nearing the end of the game, and it acts as a nice segue between the sewers and the lab, which is sort of similar to this game. When removing the cliff, I knew my number one goal would be making the forest and the mine more visually interesting than the original, and hopefully you'll agree that I managed to pull that off. So, yeah, we're gonna pretty much shoot straight into the forest here. That's the door for the mine, and we'll come back to that. We start out going through the forest. So you see we got a large body of water, and I was also kind of wanting to think about like what would be near the mine. So you have this building here that maybe they worked out of. This is basically more expansion on the story of the mine. Or it could have been Umbrella's original lab, you know? Lots of questions with this building. I tried to keep it pretty vague. Okay, now we're headed down. And here I have this section link up to the mine. Instead of having the sections totally separated, I combine them here near the end of both of the sections so that they feel more connected. So here we are back. We're going through the mine now. And when I was thinking about this area, I was mostly trying to think of how the mine-ish section looked in Resident Evil Remake and use that as inspiration, but I also took heavy inspiration from Resident Evil 2. There's a very specific spot that this little bridge is in Resident Evil 2. And also the next little tiny section, you may or may not recognize it from Resident Evil 2. Again, with the marshalling yard in my mind, I went with that. So this section here is a little bit marshalling yard-ish too. And thus ends the forest and mine section. So now we'll be headed towards the mansion. So there's the exit from the mine. I don't have the map loads working yet, so what you saw there was just me switching maps. And here we are, headed in. You see I still kept the cliffside door there. And here we are at the entrance of the mansion. The scale is pretty much the same. I did take out the doors right here so that you could just walk into the front yard area. And that's the door that you would originally go through in Survivor, but because I've reworked the mansion so heavily, I have implemented that in a whole new way. So here we are in the mansion main hall. And here in a second, there we go. You'll see the original mansion main hall, which is literally just that room. You go down that stairwell and you're in the lab. So my whole thought was, let's make a puzzle that you have to solve to get to the lab. Here we are in the library. This also takes a lot of inspiration from Resident Evil Remake and also Resident Evil Zero, this entire mansion. There's a lot of references to those games. Alright, and this is a small conference room off to the side. I will say for the mansion, I have all of the puzzles working, including text telling you when you've picked items up, when you've used items. So the puzzle sections for the mansion are probably 90% complete. There may be a little bit of tweaking here and there that I do, but yeah, the puzzles are all set up in here. What you're seeing right now is I've already went in, I've already unlocked all the doors, used the keys, used any kind of items that you get. So this is just a completely unlocked mansion, but it is locked up in the actual game. And here's our big reference to Resident Evil Remake, the door under the stairs. That door is actually going to take us to a whole new area. So this is the door that you would enter in the original. So there's the front yard over there. And in this one, you'll see it takes you back behind the house to a nice little garden catacomb area. I got a little greenhouse and down into a catacombs. And then we're going to cut back to the stairwell so we can go the other path instead of having to backtrack. Here's the master bedroom. Ignore that panel over there, you didn't see that. And there's the bathroom. That door to the right there just links up back to the main hall, so I don't go through it. And here we are on the balcony, around back. And yeah. So I did a little speed run myself just to see how fast I could get through. The mansion took me about 3 minutes on an optimized route. So here is the next section I'll be working on, which is the labs. That's also the final section. It's last but not least. After that, I'll be making sure all the brushwork is optimized, as well as finishing puzzles, adding monsters, and making things playable. Thanks.